Stream Deck MK.2 giveaway. Wow! Yeah. Let me start this thing. There we have the timer. Can you listen to the incoming motorbike like that with a fucking broken scape? Amazing. And no, it wasn't going here, right? So probably you couldn't hear it. Amazing. What am I looking for? No. I was here first and foremost to... I should actually do everything else here. After that I can actually take a tiny break. Let me... Give me a second. Why is this thing not... Why did it never change to starting soon? What's up with this? What? Anyway, there we go. It's working after this. I have to take my vitamin. Fuck. Forgot about that. What am I next? What's next? Today the title is a reference to my own existence. I wasn't expecting to have such a hard time, I don't know. Let me start this, share, copy link, yeah, the Discord, yeah. What is here? This goes here, plus this goes here. It was huge. 5. There we go. 5th stream of the same game. Don't you get bored of doing the same thing every single time, man? Sadly, no, I don't. I don't. What a magical thing. Anyway, what's next? I did that. I should open this. I should start opening the game also. Green screen, this. Hero suits. We're gonna have to spend a while looking at the screen of market because I didn't have that much time these 2 days to actually change anything, so to get the actual good stuff to keep on progressing as fast, we are gonna have to waste a second or two making sure that that works. Yeah, that's the quick rundown. There we go, we have the game open. Now play online. Do we have a wait list? Is it necessary to wait like 10 hours? No, seems to not be the case. Good. Level, we literally left at level 100. Round 100 and nothing else. Good. Let me here the link for the YouTube live. Do you wanna copy the link, my man? There we go. Copy. Next is this. No, we ignore this. This. Add link. There we go. Okay, everything is in place. Supposedly, who knows actually? I have, yeah, I was thinking out putting a pin. I don't really need to, so we are not going to do that actually. Besides that, anything else? I feel like, yeah, I have one more thing, but I have to order my room. I don't really have to order my room. I have to save some. Why is the mic so low? Am I speaking too low? Man. No way. No way. Yet another new? No way. No way. We got license revoked in Argentina now? When? 8 hours ago. What? No way! What the fuck are you talking about? Okay. I got fucking scared. No, they just increased the needs. That's understandable. That's not a problem at all. That's not at all an issue. That's not at all a situation. That's not the same as what I have been talking about of directly being incapable of doing it. It's like if you tell me that we cannot, the modern human cannot ever fly on one way, true, on another way, absolutely false. We can certainly get up a plane and fly like that. So it depends from what you're telling me. So in this case, have we actually lost the right to driving licenses? Not yet. So we remain strong, brother. Anyway, give me a second. I have to leave. Yeah, so I have to order some stuff. We will finish setting up, I guess, when I'm back. So yeah, give me a decade or two to finish. I'm back. I have a question, like a huge question mark. If I do this noise, can you hear it? No, you can't hear it. No way. No way. How loud can I actually do that noise? No way. I cannot click my noise. You cannot hear it. Like I can, but you cannot hear it. No way. So meaningless. Why do it at all? Do I do it normally? I think I don't, right? Because if I do and you have never heard it, there is like a 90% of reduced communication when some sign becomes absent from the expressions themselves that the other person gets to experience. So this means that it matters a lot for us if you can hear it or not. So today we salute our tongue clicking ability because it's not present at all. And that means that we have lost the war. Big Microphone has once again reminded us that we need to upgrade our software. It's also over. Capitalism in its best expression dominates us yet again. It's what's everything out nowadays. But such is the world that we live in, so I shall just take my pill and live my life despite the difficulties. The unavoidable difficulties. Why does this garbage does not want to close? There we go. Good enough. Okay. There we are. Anything else that should actually be trying to do? Do you wanna listen to a little bit of Carl Young? No. No, no. We shall refrain from doing that, actually. Good morning. Do I have the game open? Yeah. Yeah, we are literally listening to the music of the game, so most certainly it is open. Why is it not capturing? There it is. There we go. Good evening. It has been a while. Not so much as to be a measurable distance, but enough to be a while, yeah. Here we're back, basically. Literally nothing changed from last time, because in this case, I didn't get time at all to change anything, so we are going kinda screwed in that sense. Sadly, it can happen that you, no matter how much you want something, you don't truly get the benefit of altering the world and its rules or something like that. No, point is, yeah, good morning. It has been a while, so I don't know. I hope. Okay, we have cash. We have some cash to do stuff at the very least. That's gonna be useful. I hope it is enough to actually buy something important, interesting, necessary. I don't really know what's necessary so far. I need to actually check. I need to check that actually, yes. So besides this, I think no, wait. Okay, current goal is literally just for me to buy some rooms and whatnot so that I can get extra damage. Also, did they fix? No, they didn't fix the damage formula. Why did they keep it that way? What went across the mind of the person who set that up and said, yeah, we need to have an incredibly broken filter? Who does that, man? Like, not a filter, an incredibly broken formula. Who says, yeah, we need that? I have enhanced damage. This is attack speed. This is skill, but not. I need. Okay. First thing. An amulet that gives me increased damage. Okay. Enhanced. Same thing. There is no, not even one. No way. No way. No. My favorite part of playing this video game. Stuff not being even available. Let's go, brother. Nothing that I want. Absolutely attack damage. One at 10,000. Such a reasonable offer. No, at 100,000. It's all good. All skills. Sabernaut. No. Viking. Okay, this is last adjacent, so that's bad. Fuck. No, man. It's so difficult. Why did things have to be like this? Why couldn't it be simpler? Man. Why? Now, you know what? We are good. Maybe I don't really need to change my my charm. No, my amulet. Good enough. Yeah, no. Thank you. I actually pass on your offer. No, there is only one that gives damage. No way. It's fine. We're in a good terrain. It's all good. It's all nice. We have to play the video game to obtain what we are looking for, I guess. That's the only available answer. Besides that, anything else? Filter. Socket tower. Intense damage. No. Potion? Is there a potion with intense damage? No, I think I know what I need. A potion with the movement speed. That's what I was looking forward to. And there is nothing. My man. What a wonder. So, let's see by price. Is there anything cheap? Mana. Vampirism. No. Spartan defense. No. Life replenish. No. Nothing. Also, no, I was gonna get the charm that I couldn't get the last time, but it doesn't matter because I don't use it anyway, so. What an existence, man. You cannot get anything useful. Also, who's selling? Adu? Ah, no. +2 to understandable. This one is tiny. The problem with all of these charms is that I don't really know if I'm going to find what I'm looking for. Perhaps not. Also, why is one guy selling like 20 different charms? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How many charms does this person have? What's going on? Whatever. Also, I still don't even know. Do I need damage? Do I need like... I understand to some degree the formula, but what am I actually after? Not damage, but rather... increased stats? No, right? That cannot be correct. Okay. Let me see. I'm looking for... additive. Blood. Physical damage. There are only 5 charms with that. No way. Okay, 6. Wow. Wow. Such a beautiful difference. Wow. Who could have expected that? So that one is a no. What about intense damage? There was one and somebody bought it like... It's all good. How did I even get... What's the name of this? Spine trophy, okay. Let me see, can I get... more levels at the very least? That's... physical, yeah. That's literally what I used to have. Only one? What do you mean only one is selling? What happened to the market? Did it get wiped? What? What are you talking about? No way. Also, there are all of these special charms. Which one is for? Okay, there is none. There is none for. There is no one to help the samurai. Ah. How do we get an upgrade then? What else can I actually try to change? I need this entire wool. I can... Let's see. I think I have a solution. Incense damage. Type. Gloves. There are no gloves with that. Okay. Type. Boots. Are there any? There are none. Ring. There are 2 rings with that. Wow, 51. That's actually great. And also 60. What the fuck? What? Somebody didn't realize what they were selling. Okay, okay, this is great. 68 is great, actually. And an S tier at 500. Okay, okay, okay. Things are starting to actually look better. This one? Yeah. Okay, 55. I can change any of them because they are what to do. 57 and I still have one extra card. Can you look this? Yeah. And that is to take... Well, this... Give it to hero. 58. Okay. We gained like 3. Assuming. So that's that. And this is... There is no amulet with that, right? There is an amulet with that. What the fuck are you talking about? What? Ah, there is no amulet with anything now being looked at. Okay. 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 So, the time to kick some rocks, I guess. Amazing, dude. I have nothing, right? Like, I cannot even look up things. I have to look manually every single one of these totems. Don't you love that? I have a plus 12. Isn't that good? Plus 5. This is mana, this is vitality. I can change both of these. Like this. How much? 59. Okay. 7 gold dropped. I don't need gold dropped. Dexterity, mana, vitality. What? Strength. This is physical damage. This is at 3. What? 59.9? 0.5? 59.3? Nothing. No change whatsoever. Good. Good to know. This is physical damage. 21, 13, 17. I don't need that. I don't need either of these actually. Which one was it? 9? Nothing, nothing. Nothing. Well, this is like the only available option right now. Oh my god, I gain nothing from that. Way. No way. Also, how much do I actually get from a strength? Wow, I actually gain far more from strength than anything else. Wow, wait. Okay, okay. I have something. I have a way. I am literally squishy right now. Like, I made the world be entirely based on me being capable of killing the enemy before they kill me. That might be absolutely bad. But, but, we're gonna trust that that's not gonna happen at all. Plus 3 to strength. Only that? Nothing else? No way. Amulet? Do you have anything here? Critical strike damage. That's good, no? 38? No, 28 strength. Oh my god, this is a perfect one. 40 strength, 40 dexterity. Amazing. Let me buy this thing. Confirm. Okay, we have something minimally operational. This amulet 59.9 goes to 60. Good. And this is, what is this? Attack speed. Ah, the crushing blow, which is like decreased armor, I think, but I realized at some point I don't really need that much. Ah, but I lose attack speed. That can be bad, actually. Yeah. But wait, I have 60. If I keep this, I have 49. Oh my god! I absolutely need to have this kit on then, like, wow. Wow. I mean, yeah, it makes sense. Okay, so, with this we're good enough, I guess. Filter. Type. Weapon. How do I even look the stats that I'm looking for? Like, I need damage. Physical damage. Flat physical damage. There are only 9 or so of these. This one has good enough. No. 100, 200. 200. 9. Nothing actually good. What's going on with the market of this game? Let me. Okay, I am getting irritated. Hero seeds. Let me see. Hero seeds. Steam. Save 66% on hero seeds. How many people online history playing right now? 10,000 people, an average daily of almost 4,000 people, and that has been the case since the third day of this month. And you're telling me that the market is still completely empty? That there are how many offers? How many offers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 12 offers in total. What are you talking about? What? How do I get what I'm looking for? Let me see. This thing, how much do you have? 33. Physical damage. 200. Oh, wait. Wait. This costs like 500. How much does it actually change anything? Buy. And now, what do I have here? +2 to all skills. That's so useful. Change it. 67. How much damage do I have? So, like, 67 to 60. Can completely discard you, my man. I can entirely discard you. I care so little about you. Wow. What a useless thing it has suddenly become. Okay. Okay, there it is. Works. We have it working. Do we have to worry about anything else on the world? My favorite part of the game. Building stuff. I have a pristine diamond here. What the fuck did I put here? No. I put the wrong thing on the socket. What an amazing play. Can't happen. Didn't you know? Okay, we have the pristine thing there. 27, 68. We gained from the beginning of the stream, like, I have no clue. I wasn't paying that much attention. An uncertain amount between 1 and 0. So yeah, point is, we have it working. We should have it working somehow. So, yeah. Are we ready to actually go? I guess so. Fuck. Yeah, it's all fine. Don't you also yourself miss something sometimes? Even if you know that you should be paying attention, you cannot avoid what to miss some tiny details. In the view of the entire forest, one can very easily forget out some minor parts, some much less unimportant aspects of reality, because indeed, this world, even if it is filled with interesting things, it doesn't make it absolutely missable in terms of all the importantness that it carries with it. So it's good enough as it is. Oh, yeah. Entirely missed the thing. They were amazing. Okay, no clue. How much damage? No. I could also try to change that one wrong pristine to something else. I won't. You're gonna play with this as it is. Also, does any of these? No. None of these things have sockets for tools. That's amazing. Don't you love to see that? We're gonna be so limited by that. Doesn't matter. Anyway, now for real. Now that the game part is out of the stream. It's been a long week. Since the last time that I have been here, it feels so... like so much time has passed that, yeah. Even, I think on Audal it hasn't really been that much. When was it? Tuesday that it was here? For the last occasion, so only 2 days, but I don't know. It's wonderful. Something out living a life full of... I wouldn't exactly call it action in terms of, oh no, yeah, so much action and whatnot. No, I don't think it's exactly action. It simply is events one after another that one can define later on as, yeah, this is also interesting, this is also important and whatnot. But in themselves, they are not really that different in any one way or another. It's just the basic aspect of, yeah, things changing shapes, things becoming different. Also, Zephyr's subscription, what? Light radius, massive find, what? Destroy. And yeah, I don't know, I am, as always, good to get to be back here. It's always a joyous occasion, and I have no clue. So much happening, so much going on. As always, well, not as always, there have been some times in which so much actually happened in the world that to say that my expression was gonna be, as always, nothing really happened. Sadly, not so much the case. Sometimes, absolutely, way too much happens, so much occurs, and we are entirely lost in the whole aspect of this is getting way too dramatic. I don't know, people likes to be happy about the things that occur in this world to the degree to which it feels strange. And yeah, I am happy that we are here, but I don't know if I am that happy in terms of, oh wow, nothing really is happening. I don't think, once I'm tweaking with nothing is happening, I don't think that's proper to say. Actually, there are way too many things occurring. Nowadays, the world is an interesting place. Like, at least there is potential for being entertained. That much is true. But besides the entertainment aspect, it's... What's going on? Why am I killing literally no monsters whatsoever? Within Act 5. Okay. So I have to do Act 5. I see. We have to actually grind that, implying that it's like actually an interest. We can entirely skip that. Doesn't mean that it will actually be that good, but anyway, I was trying to say that, yeah. Vampire Survivors? No, it's more like a Diablo, you know? No, or the real example would be something along the lines of... Also, you already finished, Furai? Welcome. Here, okay, nothing else to actually hinder me. Path of Exile. Wow, watch this amazing skill tree and say, wow, so many upgrades, I am getting overwhelmed. Me, myself, too. Me, myself, entirely, too. But it's fine, it's fine. We act like we can understand whatever is being described here. Physical damage, maximum life, strength, splash. Wow, so many upgrades. 25% of costs, total life steal. What? Amazing. I should actually close this thing before I keep losing myself on all of this. Energetic. Increased energy. Anyway, no. Shut up. We're not going to look at the skill tree. I don't even have 1 point to upgrade the skill tree right now, so it shouldn't be a point of worry for us at this very moment. Nothing important. Okay, yeah. Anyway, welcome for hope you're very good. So, what was I trying to say? Something. No, I forgot. I made a wrong decision today, and I didn't realize, and I ended up too affected. I think say not exactly tired, but what makes you feel like you're tired. You know that very same sensation that goes over your entire body sometimes, and it's interesting to feel that. But it's part of life. Sometimes you have to have that happen to you. It's a good reminder that one cannot be entirely. I thought it wasn't entirely. What? Amazing! What is this? What? Nothing. It's nothing. Amazing. Wow. Amazing. Whatever. I was saying. Something about the sensation of tiredness, which isn't exactly tiredness, but you know, we call it tiredness for the sake of summarizing the point. And I don't know, I think it's always something strange to know that it can happen. One doesn't really see it coming, but out of nowhere you're held by it. It takes control of your life, and it regulates how you exist, and it forces you to change how you work, how you behave, how you are yourself. And it's always something weird. It's, to some degree, I think nowadays even unavoidable, but that's what we are bound to have, no? That's all that we are bound to possess. In times where existence itself otherwise cannot be allowed, oh my god. I don't really have to open the arena. Good enough. Wow, watch this boss battle. Oh no, so difficult. Anyways. Now, I think I have to go back to the other teleporter. This one, I think. I came from here, but I have to go down here. Okay, anyway, I was saying. And I don't know. It's always interesting to realize that happens and to try to live life anyways, but it's still a weird sensation overall. In life, we love to act like all of that isn't really that present, isn't really that. Watch this. This is like the only area in which your character slowly becomes tinier like this. It's amazing. It's literally, it's cinema. The Martin Scorsese, it's cinema. Wow. It's not fall from heaven. The moment in which the person tries to reach their goals. The moment in which you are the nearest to achieving what you want. The very same desire that you have in mind, the very same thing that you are striving for, yours, is taken out of your hands. The reflection is, therefore, that certainly life is about the absence. Life is about the loss and the confrontation. It's the hero's journey in hero seats. Wow. No. I mean, to some degree, yeah, I don't know. I haven't lost my mind, man. I haven't lost my mind entirely. I haven't read way too much stuff, and I don't know anymore. Reality is all a construct based on the multiple interpretations that we decide to give it ourselves. The world entirely is the accumulation of all of those precious events which we have decided to call important merely because we get accustomed to their existence and not much else. But everything is meaningful and everything possesses some sort of value, and there is in all the things that you observe that we can ever get to comprehend something to be thankful for, something to try to decipher yet again. look hard to be alive. I don't know. The whole thesis revolves around the theory of knowledge in a way in which there is too much of a discussion about things which seem entirely unrecognizable, and I don't know. I just said it. I'm losing it, man. I'm losing it. I'm slowly departing away from what is the real plane of normalcy. Now, everything seems to be about this far more complex universe of shapes and notions and assumptions and but it is still something great, guys. That's all I can actually say. In more coherent terms, without sounding as fucking crazy. Yeah, it's great. Knowledge is always wonderful, and in this case it is too. The only issue is to be actually willing to understand all of that. I feel I encounter, rather, that something surprising is the degree of information that, I don't know, I hear people say it's hard to actually understand some authors. I don't find it to be the case. I feel like it's not exactly in the same line, not at the same degree, but it can very much be compared to when you're talking with somebody else and they tell you something along the lines of, in a one-to-one conversation, you are wrong. The thing that you just said is incorrect. You are saying something stupid. If you believe hard enough that what you are used to believe before is correct, no matter how right the person is, you cannot actually change so rapidly your vision about things. And I feel like this is the same notion that happens with this kind of author. The whole, most of philosophy and psychology are based around the notions or the degree of not exactly interference, but difficulty when reading them is in dealing with the whole plethora of consequences that are created by the revelation of, yeah, this thing can be understood as insofar as you can shed some part of your own self related to, and be it whichever aspects are at question when it comes to those authors specifically. But yeah, my real point is that it's actually far more understandable to some degree. And I just feel like, yeah, it's good. It's actually quite good. And it's actually quite interesting. We get all of exploring all of that. I don't know. I remember something actually that I think almost like some seconds ago, before starting the stream, I just encountered. There was this whole notion of, oh no, yeah, nowadays the human lives in a lane in which everything seems to be created, centered around the loss of critical thinking. We as human beings are being deprived of our principal quality, that is the capacity to reason and logically picture things in a meaningful way, so that we do not fall to the trap of meaninglessness and to those similarly problematic issues that are created by the notions which we never needed, but we assumed were going to be somehow useful. And I don't know, I don't really feel like that's the case. In a way, I don't really have the sensation that it's at all that true. It can be correct, yes, that it's quite useful to be capable of possessing a capacity for critical thinking. That's true. But I don't feel like most people, when I say critical thinking, and you say critical thinking, let's establish that from there. When we think out critical thinking, it may not really be the exact thing. In particular, no, as always, there is going to be in any conversation some degree of difference between what you are proposing and what I am understanding from your proposal, from your proposed idea. But in the more correct form of the distance between what you try to mean with your term and what actually that thing gets to convey, what that thing gets to truly say about stuff, let's say like that, that's where the true difference arises. Because I don't really feel like when we are trying to talk about anything minimally related to... Is this useful? Let's see, no, I don't think so. When we are trying to talk out the whole aspect of, yeah, this is very much indeed about the whole aspect of Rainbow Amulet. What? Oh, proper critical thinking as a true category. It's more about, yeah, somebody tells you that what they are presenting to you is true, but you already know the correct truth, so you have used your critical thinking to decipher that this thing is indeed false, or at least not the correct one, so that you now have remained safe from the lie and whatnot. And that's not truly analytical critical thinking, let's call it like that. That's not truly present. I don't know that many people who can actually... It's difficult because to some degree. Let's begin with this like this. It's understandable that people do not utilize it in front of others when you are talking to me about an idea, or about thoughts, about something that might be not just interesting, but also embedded in that seriousness of a proper argument. The silent aspect that has to happen almost is, okay, what you're proposing to me can be analyzed from the perspective of, are the arguments being presented true? Are the ideas that follow those arguments also true? Are the building bricks of this very same reasoning correct and whatnot? Out of that, even if it isn't ever spelled out, so to speak, like, I am not telling you that I am doing that exact same thing myself. I am not telling you that I am working on making sure that I analyze your prepositions and your what is it? It's not exactly announcements. It's postulates and whatnot. None of that. I don't need to do that, but that's the proper kind of critical thinking that falls under the correct category of, yeah, therefore, if you are doing that, if I am doing that, then we are applying critical thinking. That's proper type is not really that present to some degree, and that's the situation is understandable enough. You don't really come to this world with the possibility of gaining that by default. You need to be willing to look out for that. You need to be willing to acquire this tool in some way or another, in some shape or form, in some manner, something along those lines. You are not gifted that capacity. You are not inherited this. You are in relation to thinking itself as a function. At the most, you are given the possibility of understanding the dialect that you and your family speak and whatnot, but you're not inherently given the boon of logic. Logic is like, I think, the aspect of thought that gets created based on the current conditions that we tend to follow socially speaking. Unavoidably, you need to be in a proper environment to acquire such a thinking capacity, but that in itself is also affected utterly by the quality of, is the place in which you are thinking about that a place in which this can be generated properly in relation to what the rules of that very same place are or not. Besides, as an eternal given, no? You can learn things yourself and you can learn them in a proper way and whatnot. Even if you have all of that good on you, even if you have all of that enabling you to acquire that capacity, you still need to go out of your way to do that. You still need to make sure that you're learning something, and you still need to make sure that you're inheriting this capacity, basically. You're not just, because you want to understand things, becoming capable of understanding them. And in that sense, it is that, yeah, critical thinking is not present by default. It needs to be given. And I don't... Okay, I need to use this. What? There is a proper portal, I think, that I have to take. Probably it's on the entire opposite area of where I am right now, yeah. So, I was saying, there is a proper way of acquiring that, and that is unavoidably in the practice, first and foremost, teachings of another person who can actually inherit you that capacity, like, who can, what's the proper term? It's gifted from the legacy of somebody else. The whole foundation of knowledge, which allows you to understand this, is the very same base of knowing that the other person also understood it, so that they can give it away and you can earn it. Basically, that whole aspect. I don't remember the exact words, but yeah, you learn that, and the fundamental notion is I'm pretty sure that doesn't happen in general, like, it occurs, that you can actually learn out of those things. Any person has the capacity to learn critical thinking, but I don't feel like most people actually learn hard critical theory of thinking and proper analytical investigation of arguments and whatnot. It feels rather like a incorrect assumption that everyone talks the same language that I do simply because I can do it properly and the people around me can also do it properly. I don't have that same sensation myself. I have the sensation at best that what happens along those lines is, a handful of people can learn it, and a handful of select groups are always involved in all of that, and within those groups, even there, you see a loss of the critical thinking capacity, true enough. But in a more specific manner, sadly, there is no true aspect to, we all have lost our general ability to acquire this same reasoning. It has been, okay, as much as you can say it, perhaps you can utilize it in the argument of, sadly, we are making more and more assumptions about critical thinking being less useful than ever before. That much I can actually give you, the whole notion of, oh wow, why are you criticizing so much what you are being told? Why are you so willing to go against what you are being taught? Why are you so willing to contradict what you are being taught? And why would you ever try to destroy the notions that are being inherited to you? To some degree, not in every single area of knowledge, not in all portions of the ideas that inhabit our current life and whatnot, only in a very select few of them. It does occur that certainly we are perceiving a decrease in the capacity itself to say, we truly have this happen, and we truly have this thing affect our performance, I guess, or ability to be and whatnot. And all of that is important, but we ourselves have suddenly lost the control of it, so to speak. Also, there is no mission here. I think you literally need to have this mission completed to progress. Something minimally reminds me of this part. I am pretty sure I remember having done this. And I am pretty sure you actually need the mission completed here to be capable of continuing. Like 60% sure or so. Why? Where is the mission? What a great question. I have no clue. Perhaps I can only think out one reason right now, and that is I didn't do the previous, like 1 or 2 chapters missions, and Wait, no, here it is. Okay. I was like, no, we're doomed. There is no continue portal. Oh, there it is. I am just blind. Somehow all of the NPC interactions are not available. Wow. That's actually surprising. I wouldn't have expected that. What a Saturday. And wouldn't that be easy to call into the game or something like that? Wouldn't that be like incredibly simple to include? Like, yeah. You just make sure that these handful of animations are conserved and are applied every single loop of the story. Is it that bad? I don't think like people are going to lose their mind or something along those lines simply because they have to sit 10 seconds in those two different areas. And I mean, the other one isn't even really that much about losing time with any cinematic. Who knows, anyways. Continuing with what I was trying to argue for. Yeah, it sadly happens that thought in itself is not always accompanied by critical thinking, and nowadays, what's the normality is to slowly shed away all of that. One of the strange results of the current culture that we have to some degree unavoidably created ourselves and whatnot, but still been born into, that is the whole notion of sadly, because you are trying to talk about something that we don't really want to hear. You are trying to present to us a notion that goes in some way or another against what we are willing to discuss and whatnot. Because all of these things are given, you are doing something wrong, and that means that you are affecting our final result, and you are damaging, or I don't know if I should have picked up this thing. And I have no clue which one was it, so only God knows. Yeah, only only God has any clue about what I just picked up from there on. What was it? Yeah, there is no clue. So whatever, good luck item. You got lost in my inventory. Anyway, I was saying that one of the consequences of modern times has been the abandonment of critical thinking so much. Suddenly, because in the literal right now, it has happened too much that in the previous one or two generations before us, there were way too many instances of people, because of this very same normalized critical thinking before, criticizing way too many aspects of what we can call structurally relevant aspects of reality, to the degree to which it sadly even happens that we are missing out now things that used to be not only normal but also quote-unquote useful before, because the critique of those very same systems and the realization that indeed they weren't really all that great led to their removal from society. So one of the many conditions that nowadays exists is the acceptance that, yeah, perhaps we should keep our mouths shut about many aspects of the world as it is right now, because it is not an obligation for us to say things as long as they are not utterly bad. Like one of the few revelations, I guess, of the current century, not of the current times in this century, let's say like that, has been the realization that despite us having problems, it's better sometimes to not open our mouths, because what we are going to end up with might be worse than what we have right now, because in the removal of those things which we have found problematic, the appearance of much worse ones becomes implicit, to the degree to which, therefore, that implies or that makes sure that we ourselves end up having an absolutely horrible time. Also, isn't this is a dancer, right? I hope so. And this makes it so that the norm then becomes for all of us to try to make sure that many of those aspects of life, of reality that are minimally bad, go unmentioned, even if they are bad, without the true requisite of them being not all that negative, or with the given, with the unwarranted acceptance of, yeah, this thing is good enough as it is right now. The abandonment of reasoning for the sake of not changing the status quo right now. Something, it's not exactly like that, the argument, but in a way you could say that one of the normalized things is that if we right now have to try to live in accordance with all of the given benefits of the time, if we right now have to criticize what exists, we will end up finding out that sadly it's never going to be possible to live a good life in the very present, because there are always improbable conditions in our modes of existence, and that in itself constitutes a negative aspect, because one of the many promises that are given is that somehow we are going to find a stable point in life in which no more fights, in not exactly in the term of fights, but rather in the meaning or encoded as no more troubles in regards to the notions that we utilize, no more problems in relation to the things that we say, and no more ideological issues because you say one thing and I express another, and or disputes makes us, both you and me, have a bad time in the conversation that follows. No, because that promise is such, the norm then becomes, or because that is not a promise that we are willing to take into heart. The realization is then that it is better for us to keep ourselves silent than to try to fight for any given opinion, and because that fight for opinions equals the abandonment of reasoning, you want to not think. There is nothing better than to not create any reason for you to think at all. You don't need to be thinking out stuff if you are willing to remain captivated by something else entirely. And that's the basic modus operandi of this same thing in itself, this same once again operation, so to speak. And this is so much the case that at every single given instance you can realize, yeah, this is also what's happening out there, this is also what's happening in the rest, and this is what's making my, not exactly my, but the other people be as affected by this negative issue, and be under this condition they themselves too. And all of that operates within most, if not all, places of the current reality which we inhabit, so that therefore critical thinking is discarded, but as a basic lesson, not you are being told that you should not have critical thinking. Nobody is actively talking about that necessity or that unnecessity, if you wanna say it like that. It's wrong. But it's not about that. It's about something else completely different. Also, hero level 1. Finally, hero level 1. Let's see what actually goes on here. I have my first incarnation point. And I have no map point? No way! When do I actually get my map point, brother? Full screen. There is a full screen button here too? Amazing. Amazing. So there is something. Shuriken throw. Okay. Here is the search bar. This one. 25% of your mana cost. This is 25%. There is one. I am looking specifically for one upgrade. Mana. Which one is it? Damage taken is... Overflow. Maximum mana, no. Chance to replenish, no. Maximum mana, no. Maximum, what? 25% of energy is added as physical damage? What? Is that broken? Isn't that like incredibly broken? Here, wait. Mana steal. No. You? No. No. What is the mana thing that I'm looking for? No. Spell duration? No. Maximum mana? No. I'm gonna lose it. Maximum mana? No. Mana cost, this is what I'm looking for. Okay. Total magic skill damage, no way. No. I don't use magic. No. If I use mana cost, is there any other upgrade like that one? No. It's the only one. Okay, I see. So, oh my god, I have to actually think out what I'm going to do. I was going to simply go directly to this thing, but I can't unavoidably. If I don't utilize massive damage, but I rather utilize physical melee damage, how can I actually try to reach that thing? Great question, brother. You can't, because indeed you have no possibility of utilizing that upgrade yourself. Wow. Charging damage? What the fuck is charging damage? Charge. Attack radius. Melee. Oh my god, 5% of strength converted to magic skill. Oh my god. Converted? That's bad actually. that's so bad actually. 15% increased life steal. 15% of life stolen surprised. Like, enemies don't reach that much life from me, I guess. Damage increased per stack of raids. I literally don't even utilize raids myself, bro. What are we talking about? We are yet again. My favorite part? The exact same issue that I had with playing fucking Path of Exile was me having to look at the skill tree for 50 hours until anything made any sense whatsoever. Don't you love that? Let me see. If I assign you here, how much do you cost? Exit. Confirm. Now you have 68. Did anything actually change? Like, confirm. 68? What? What? This? Confirm? 69? Why did the other one not increase damage? What? 69. 68. What? 78. Now it changed. What's going on? Okay, it works. Now I actually get the increase, so this is the way. Okay. I see. This is... Don't you want to actually understand? What's the proper way? Don't I also want to know the exact same thing myself? Defense converted to life. Good player. What do we have? How much defense do we have? Armor? Defense by 5. So what is my defense? Defensive. 900. Interesting. I have negative arcane resistance and negative lightning resistance. So probably I'm going to die. Probably. Doesn't matter. We're gonna act like I am immortal until I actually die. Enough thinking about numbers for a second. Shut your mouth, man. Enough. Anyway, I was trying to say before the game said, no, yeah, you know what, you have to think so much about the next decision of yours, otherwise you're going to die. That, yeah, I don't know, I feel like one of the aspects that does happen right now is that we are quote-unquote told that the normal thing is for us to abandon, so to speak, critical thinking, that it is unnecessary. But it's not like we are forced. You still have... I feel like one of the most important aspects in all of these plural conversations is always, as long as you're still capable of having the conversation about it itself, you still have a lot of free way yourself to go and whatnot. You are not forced to truly choose something until you actually have only the possibility of doing that removed, or expressly the possibility of doing that removed from your hands, so to speak. It is no more impossible for us to study something like critical thinking than it is for us to have conversations about quote unquote deeper topics. That's the way in which I feel like it operates, not that it is entirely impossibilitated, removed from our hands and whatnot. That sort of equation I feel like is wrong and is in many ways not exactly honest in the way in which it is being formulated, because yeah, it gets to sound like truly you never have the possibility, the chance of speaking out any of these notions. You never have the possibility, the need, the desire even to talk out all of that yourself. When that's, I don't feel like really the case. At the best, you can truly say in one way or another that yeah, maybe we don't truly enjoy the benefit of... Also wait, I have upgrades and I never applied them to my shuriken? What happened? Did I space out or something? I wanna see, actually, what gives me 78. The problem is also I have so many points, I cannot really just upgrade this thing. This thing? How much mana are they consuming? I think that enough, no? Probably one of these and one of these, I guess. That isn't really that significant, is it? And this. This boat, probably. I ain't no damage whatsoever. Ah, amazing. Don't you love to see that? Don't you like to see that so much? I also like to not even see an increase in my damage. Why would I need to know how much my damage changes whatsoever? Anyway. You know what would work the best? If I actually used the shuriken in the dummy test enemy and so if it actually increased the damage or not at all. But we need to waste like 10 minutes doing that. Oh my god. I'm so bored of all of that. Yes. I like the idea, but I don't really want to do it myself. Let me add a strength in this. Yeah. Pero I do it that way. We can avoid it for a little while at least. Also, no, again, damage, so I guess it works. So yeah, I was saying, and continue. That, and I don't know, I feel like when you say that you're impossibilitated from learning something like critical thinking, you're as impossibilitated from that as learning something like philosophy or, I don't know, sociology, psychology, biology, getting a career yourself, everything of that sort is quote unquote impossibilitated from the average person, but it actually has a lot more to do with the specialization of knowledge and the necessity to actually make sure that it is being given in specific centers, academies, and whatnot. Unavoidably, the occultation of it for the sake of making sure that only the quote unquote appropriate people are capable of learning it and whatnot makes it so that the accessibility of any kind of knowledge therefore becomes far more complicated. But in itself, it doesn't really feel like it is by default inaccessible. The reality is that, yeah, it is harder to by default find it in the wild. You are not going to, I'm not going to be talking about critical theory with a random passing by person. I can understand some degree of it and I can apply it on my own life, and if I make sure that other people gain awareness of it, they themselves also get to have the possibility of utilizing it in any given conversation. But that makes no impact in the general case of, we have like how many 8 billion human beings right now. The overall degree of the population that knows it has been reduced in terms of percentages simply because there are way too many people right now existing compared to, let's say, 50 years ago, when it was far less problematic, far less probable that we were all going to need to have so many troubles trying to learn something, when it was much less possible for anyone to say, no, yeah, I want to learn this thing, and find in their process of doing so, in their desire, so many locks and so many similar problems that directly impede them from going for these certain desires. Yeah, it's not like critical thinking is inaccessible. It's just that it just pre-requires or necessitates a pre-given condition of interest from the person to be found out. Like, I don't know, I guess you could say it like this. Sadly, in the most basic grades, we are not teaching that. But to try to instill the necessity of this thing feels quite facetious. It's way too much associated with a far more analytical, logical way of thinking and believing in the world and whatnot. I don't feel like anyone is ever going to say, yeah, I wanted to teach my kid this thing exactly. I don't think that anybody truly feels like their kids require to know critical thinking or anything like that. At the best, we have conversations about the usefulness of it, but we don't truly talk about it, picture it in a way in which it is truly a requirement for life or anything like that. It is good, but it is not obligatory to go through a course of that. And in what I say of, it is something far more structured in itself and whatnot. I feel like unavoidably you could say that about many forms of thinking, which have to do first and foremost with, people can learn about them, but that doesn't mean that people have to learn about them. At some point, you're going to, later on in your own life, be capable of realizing this and whatnot. And this is going to be given at a much later stage in your own existence. Right now, you could be imposed this piece of knowledge, but you don't truly require it, you don't truly have the need for that. We don't truly have to waste time here trying to act like you truly have to care. You must care about this thing and whatnot. It's not an obligation for you and for us. It should be not such an important matter. I try to teach a kid of 8 years, a year, an 8 years old children what all of that means, critical theory in itself, and probably they are not going to grasp even half of it because way too many of those concepts are complicated. If you want to talk about it in a more quote-unquote proper way, perhaps you can propose something along the lines of, oh yeah, at the very latest stages of something along the lines of high school slash secondary, making sure that very late in the teen years people are encountering this formal way of thinking and these formal tools for analysis of prepositions and the notions and whatnot. That much I can actually agree with, and that much I can actually say, yeah, perhaps, but a whole reconstruction of the educational system in that sense has always been due, like, what's the proper norm? There is a proper way in which you can express it in terms of, I think we have been following the same structural educational systems than that those from Austria, like 2 centuries ago or so, designed as quote-unquote optimal for their times, during their given conditions, minimally functional enough to be something good, not optimal with true efficacy, but rather optimal for their given roles at those times. And there were never many more adaptations made. At best, we have integrations of the sort of, oh yeah, now the kids can finally utilize technology in the classroom, now the kids can finally bring some sort of extra assignment and whatnot, but that doesn't make the whole system be fixed because of those. At that point, if even those integrations weren't made, the whole system would be so archaic that unavoidably it wouldn't be any more possible for us to say that, no, yeah, this isn't an issue. No, it is. It has included the smallest pieces that it could, so that it doesn't encounter within itself all the other issues that it does still host and whatnot. But my point is, anyways, that yeah, you cannot try to ask for a reconstruction in that sense, because it hasn't happened before, it won't happen now. But it is still, anyways, I am not trying to say it is true that it isn't an issue. No, it is still an issue, very much, but not really something that we're that worried about, I guess. Not something that we really want to, in any manner, change. Winner's Drag? Wow. I have found Winner's Drag like 3 or 4 times at this point. The whole system of relics is based on the notion of getting multiple of those same relics. Probably, if I had that opportunity, I would have Winner's Drag as the highest level relic on my character, if I use that myself. But I don't. Anyways, let's try to do some tower lobby, I guess. Not tower, chaos tower, yeah. What the fuck? Why are there no scores whatsoever? Hardcore, softcore Odyssey, hardcore Odyssey. Whatever, I guess. We can skip this. Also, no, okay. Let me do it like this. Let me take a tiny break before I actually go in. Yeah, let me take a tiny momentary second to go think out some stuff. No, expression-ish. I'll break. So yeah, that's what's going to happen, I guess. Yes. Also, the first upgrade was so much better than the next ones. Amazing. Do I need movement speed? No, right? Like, no. I need that. Suppress. One extra sound that can be performed mid-air. Why will I actually need that one? Orbiting skill size. orbiting skill and orbiting... I know, damage and size. Wow, you can make it so big. Range projectile damage. Understandable. And this is... Max? Stasis. What's stasis? How to inflict that thing, I guess. Chance to inflict ecstasis. What's that thing? Oh my god, 50% in chance damage when used a throwing weapon. Amazing. That's crazy, actually. No, anyway. Let me actually take a ring. Sorry, I got distracted by my own necessity to look at the tree. Let me wait. I am not already on. I have to actually order the arrows. Otherwise, my OCD tells me that I did something wrong. So yeah, 2 of them gone, and there we go. 3 of them ordered. Amazing. There we go. Okay, yeah, give us a go. Goodbye. I am back. Were 3 audio cues hidden? What the fuck are you talking about? Huh? You have audio, why are 3 hidden? Ah, from different audio sources, not from these ones, alright? Alright? Yes, okay. I changed scene and they remain hidden, so yeah. Anyways, I killed the dragon within me that tells me to talk out young, so we are good. You very it's you don't want to talk out young, actually. You believe you want to, but you actually have no interest in hearing out him. All monster projectiles travel faster. Monsters evaporate into pools of chaos essence, dealing damage after a short delay from spawning. Gain increased monster level. What? I guess this? I don't really know. I don't even know how much damage do these monsters actually do, how much they can take, how much of an issue they're going to be and whatnot. I know that the bosses are like incredibly problematic, or so they were the last time I was in here. Rather, so. Oh my god. What the fuck, that was a boss? These are the bosses? They are like easy, they are like a walk in the park, huh? They are so easy. Amazing, okay. We have made it. Ultimatum, but without the 20,000 difficulties of Ultimatum. How much I love this game. They can do it minimally well. Okay, I was saying then, continuing. I was capable of keeping it repressed. We are not going to talk about younger. But instead, I remember something else. I have been paying attention, partially because when I will, I have to study it. To somebody, to some degree, he is popular, but a random death rattle. What the fuck is a death rattle? One of these guys that you tend to hear a lot. Oh my god! A lot about and whatnot. You tend to. It's a popular enough author, but I haven't. Una like so many, I guess, classicals and whatnot. It's difficult to actually make time to read so much of the important stuff and whatnot. Because in the end, even if it is called interesting and important and necessary and whatnot, it is still way too fucking hard to, I don't know. I guess if you had to read all the classicals from the major sciences, both natural and social sciences, perhaps you will need like 30 years of your life dedicated solely to that, or like, let's say, there was a proper method for thinking about these things, like, if you have to utilize, like, let's say, 12 hours of your day, you have the remaining 12, no, already, not really, not the remaining 12, you have like 4 left for recreation and whatnot, and for within those 4 left, you also have to consider stuff like the breaks that you need to take and such, included only in that space, not in any other area. Okay, within that, point being that I feel like unavoidably this guy falls under that same category of he is a classic, but not really a classic that you truly say, yeah, I understand how much I have to read this person. Not really. It's much more of a specific science classic, like, I don't know. Whenever, for example, okay, I have one. Whenever we're talking about philosophy, a true classic, an eternal classic, is somebody like, actually, people like Nietzsche and Aristotle and Socrates and Plato. Those people are actual classics. Another kind of classic is, if I tell you, Heidegger. But has most people actually tried to even read Heidegger? I don't think so. And do most people even feel like they should read Heidegger? Certainly not. You can understand some of the conclusions that he could perhaps make about certain topics to be interesting, important enough to actually say, yeah, I should be trying to pay attention to what this person is talking about. But it doesn't mean that you're actually going to approach the text. One of the most beautiful things is always, you can actually rather approach the quicker analysis that somebody else did, so that you yourself don't have to sacrifice your time for any of those things. And with that very same approach, then it happens that unavoidably most people choose to not read them. Okay, now, because I have, at this point, I don't know, it's amazing how sometimes I get to avoid so much mentioning the actual point that I'm trying to make. I feel like unavoidably, that's an issue. But well, anyway. Trying to say, was I in that, yeah, this guy who I have finally decided / required to read, I don't actually remember his name, I only remember the surname, Levi-Strauss, that guy. He has one book that I actually needed to go through to be capable of saying that I studied the mandatory readings for a course. Not truly a requirement, because this one was more of a recommendation. As always, okay, one of the many beauties of going to university is that many things are not really requirements. You can entirely skip on them. You can same thing that I described before for you can actually read just quick summaries. Same thing here. You don't have to worry about reading most of the stuff. You can read quick summaries, brief enough, detailed to the degree to which you can actually understand the idea, and that's it. But if you truly, I guess, want to do a proper show, or if you're obsessive as me in terms of I don't really feel right when I read from somebody else, you have to go to the text. And in my case here, doing so, I the fact where I want to talk about him particularly because the other thesis is completely unrelated to what actually brought me to think about him. I don't know, I am amazed sometimes at how many authors of this sort possess such amazing ways of writing. I remember, like, a long time ago, I mentioned when I had to read another book that people talks about the book, but this one is completely abandoned also. When people are talking about reading or having read or having explored and whatnot, the notions that Marx left, particularly, not so much. The Communist Manifesto, for example, is 10 times easier to read. It's like a pamphlet. It's fucking short. That's easy, so that's no problem. But if you actually try to read Das Kapital, you're going to find out that it is a fucking humongous book of, like, I don't know, 2,000, 3,000 in the later editions that he ended up making. Incredibly hard to digest. Not hard, because it is with such hard notions. Oh yeah, because the capital is it's the sum of the different parts that are comprised of both the laboring force equal the result that the market itself declares. No. It's hard because it is way too much text and it has way too many references. It is a proper quote-unquote literary text, literary scientific text, simply because it has all the proper stops at giving you 20,000 references so that you can actually say, yeah, this might be true. The working conditions and the problems that exist inside of the factory, you have the list itself of the problems, and then you have a list with, let's say, to keep it short, to play it safe, rather not to keep it short, perhaps around 15 examples. And that's, once again, being humble about how many were actually included. So yeah, because of that, it's horrible to read. Somebody like him makes no wonder why people say, oh yeah, this guy, so interesting. But do I actually want to read this person? No, we don't want to read him. And that one makes sense. That one makes absolute sense. Actually, I guess this. Also, I have no clue. Should I actually leave? Do I have the right to continue? Like, I don't feel like I'm going to die anytime soon in the Chaos Tower. Who knows how much damage do I actually do? Can I actually upkeep? I think the most important part probably is also I'm getting stuff like loot. So why leave? Why worry about leaving? Is there a final point in this thing actually? Perhaps there is a final point. We have no need to leave. Because the goal has become the final point. Well no, anyway, I was saying. Then when you talk out somebody like Marx, also you have the whole issue of, yeah, this person is way too controversial. You don't really want to read Marx because you're going to find yourself like, I don't know, I have never in my life read Marx, but I know that as a capitalist, if you read Marx, you might as well gain opposition to what Marx proposed, to what is the model that Marx talks out, because obviously he, as a rotten communist, is going to convert you with all his rhetoric and whatnot. Okay. At the very least with Levi-Strauss, you have the same issue of being submerged in all of the ideology so much. There are still a lot of points. Sociology, in general, cannot avoid the aspect of submerging the reader in the point of view of the writer in some way or another, like, I don't know, a more specific title, not so controversial in terms of who the fuck is this person, who the fuck are you talking about? Whenever I talk about something like Durkheim and the works that he got to make out stuff, like, for example, the whole concept of the way in which he analyzes rather suicide and whatnot, and the conclusions that he can derive from the particular analysis that he can extract from reality and all of that. That doesn't mean that it is entirely the case. You have to always contextualize it in accordance with, yeah, this is how he sees it, this is what he gets to extract from his analysis, this is what's the point that can actually be made from all of that and whatnot. Doesn't mean entirely that it is correct, that it is fine to assume that it is always going to be good and whatnot. It is whatever it is, and one has to do a lot of work to also interpret or to add the extra weight of it. It could actually be wrong. It sometimes is wrong. But, anyways, I am trying to go for the whole aspect of, yeah, it's good enough to actually say that it deserves a reading. I feel like, what's, I don't know. I don't really have that many examples, I guess. I don't really... Okay, for example, I guess one good enough example, not exactly into sociology, but rather into the whole... At least that's what I have heard enough times to assume that it is right. I don't really feel like it is, but... From my perspective, I don't agree. But people who likes to say, oh no, yeah, because Freud was so popular at the time, because the way in which the notions that this person talk about, even if they were scientific and even if you ask creating theory, also invited the reader so much to immerse themselves in the... What the fuck do I need? This? Laptop? Wow, your maximum life is significantly decreased. How much exactly? Almost? Not even. No, yeah. Less than what I gained, actually. So significantly reduced. Thank you, man. You're killing me. No way. Anyway. Anyway. I was in the middle of saying that, yeah. When you're talking about somebody like Freud, or at least what I used to hear, is that his writing was also enticing enough for the average reader to pick up and say, wow, yeah, the narration and the way in which things are being depicted is interesting enough. Like, I don't think so. I was gonna say Umberto Eco, but I don't think people actually want to read, or he was that famous. If you have ever heard about that guy, he's famous, but rather because the Name of the Rose, I think it is called, and that is literally only a book, like a literary work, not an actual theoretical work. Like, for example, same thing that happens when you're reading Freud, when you're reading, once again, I was gonna say some sex or so, not even close, not even remotely close. Who did I just say? Cool. What was my example? Sorry for what I was talking about. Yeah. I actually did for it. Over. It's entirely over. I'm turning off stream. I forgot. No way. How can I forget? It's so embarrassing. You don't get it. I'm about to cry. Give me a second, let me actually finish. I remember the name of the book at the very least, so I can look that up. I am amazing. How can I actually forget? What a great... Give me a second. I love having ADHD. Levi Strauss, okay, there we go. Levi Strauss. Excuse me. I'm gonna finish that sentence. Anyway. I was saying, yeah, that in that quote-unquote literal or literary way in which not you, people say, oh yeah, this guy is so fantastic, you shouldn't be reading him, even if you don't understand theoretical points that are being made, because his narrations are so beautiful and the whole literary structures that he utilizes are so captivating and whatnot. I feel like that same thing. I guess this. Okay, I was saying that yeah, the whole aspect of yeah, this seems to be so much the case and so much the useful thing and whatnot. And I don't really think it is so much the case that it is absolutely useful or useless on one hand, and on the other, I can actually feel like a difference. The way in which he narrates most things seem to be entirely in an entirely different order. And that guy is actually great in how he writes. And yeah, my point is, my real point is, I don't know, I like reading stuff, and it's amazing when you can see not only the greatness of the thing itself, like the theory. The theory is amazing. I mean, in most cases, theories are useful, even if the author doesn't even understand how to fucking explain things clearly, and you have to do 20,000 different readings. Like, main primal example, we're talking about philosophy. So philosophy has, there is no other best name than Hegel. You cannot read Hegel. The whole notion of why people say, yeah, Hegel is so difficult, it's not that Hegel himself is difficult. The problem is that the guy was actually like literally illiterate. Like before, I think, before his 30s, he didn't even know how to write. So he learned way too late. And because of that, his structural patterns and such infest the way in which he tends to create philosophy, to the point to which people have an acutely hard time following what the point is. Point being, what if I actually exit? What if I actually exit before I keep going? What the fuck? No, didn't mean to do that. Okay, let me. I have no clue what I actually want to do. Sell stuff? I sell this thing that has 2 pristine rocks, 5 stars. Such an amazing action. That will be. That will not at all screw me. No. Yeah. I have an idea. Look at this screen for things here. What if we go look at the market? The Terrestrial market for the next 5 minutes. Just to try my luck. Let's see. Chance damage. Is an what? Somebody bought what? Somebody bought the same charm that before was at like 100 and is reselling it at 700,000 gold. Reasonable enough. Absolutely reasonable. Acceptable prices, my man. Who is selling what? Who is selling this thing at 1 million? Are people mentally ill? What's going on, man? What the fuck is going on with this who's selling stuff like that? What are you talking about? Okay, I don't need anything, I guess. What a generous community. Thank you so much. Anyway. It's in the crash out. It's fine, I don't need to upgrade. I probably actually do not need to upgrade, but you don't get it. Number needs to be even bigger. Need to see it reach billions. No, sorry. Anyways, I was saying that yeah, particularly continuing. Levi-Strauss seems to have a very interesting way of writing, and I guess, I don't know, it's hard to propose any kind of fucking writer. Because indeed, yeah. But, you're telling me that I should write this person. But when I look at him, and there are so many other previous authors that I still have explored, it's so boring. No. No. This one actually seems to be understandable, even if you have literally read nothing else. So yeah, I would actually classify him as good. Many authors are, I don't know, who can you actually, quote unquote, pick up by itself? You can pick up by itself Aristotle's. Should you actually pick up Aristotle's by itself if you don't even grasp what is logic's? Stickman, Steve's destruction. What the fuck is this? Sense damage, attack speed, attack rating, physical, 42 all attributes. What? 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 What is this item? It doesn't even increase my damage. What? Wait, what's the price of this item on the market actually? I am actually curious. What the fuck? What do I have? Market? No. No, it crashed. It crashed the game. It's all good. Let me restart real quick. What a lovely encounter. What a non-clunky video game. It's all good, it's all good, it's all good. It's all great. Okay, anyway, continue with the point that I was trying to make. That yeah, when you talk about Levi-Strauss, he's a good writer, and it's understandable enough. But this one is like one of the few that you can actually pick up without any prior context. I feel like he does a well enough job explaining things. There are a handful of notions, I guess, at some point that require way too much work to actually grasp in terms of what the fuck are you talking about, my man? Which notion are you trying to introduce to me? Because I do not grasp the way in which you're trying to present it at all. So yeah, in that sense, when I read like almost any other author, it's hard to actually read him from that perspective. Also, here is Steve's Mighty Sword. Okay. Mighty Sword. What's the price of this thing? Like, sword price, refresh. 7,000? Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! We have a bank. Finally. And also it's such high damage. Sell. What's your... Oh my god. It rolled good enough, even. Let's sell it for 10,000. Great. Life is finally great. And this thing... Have to sell my Halberd. You can get it, man. It's pain. To part from the things that you once used to love, to say goodbye to that which you appreciate. To tell it a final goodbye. To let go is the worst. No matter how prepared you feel like you are, still to abandon, all of that is impossible. The person cannot avoid what to suffer. Anyway. Anyway. I was saying that, yeah. I don't know. I feel like there are many authors, quote unquote, within those categories of great enough, understandable enough, and yet suddenly this one is much, much better. The degree to which you can actually might. Sorry, what? Ah, the mercenary. I care so little about the mercenary actually. Essence of the and the man. Here. Ah, yes, here. Do you give me? Yes. Amazing. How many? One. We're gonna be grinding for a while because they don't drop any essence of the undead deserved for wanting to do a side quest. But well, I was saying that, yeah. And I don't know, I feel like sadly it's the eternal wonder of how many other authors of that very same kind you're gonna be missing. How many of those authors are you gonna find out are out there that bring to you all those accessibilities, which in the end you still completely miss out on. And suddenly, at least I got the opportunity to read this guy, which is amazing already, but it is still eternally haunting that, yeah, perhaps I missed it another great one. Perhaps yet again I missed another substantial. And I don't know, I feel like I gave some hour or so about that whole theory of sometimes theories themselves don't truly feel inaccessible. In many instances, they feel first and foremost unapproachable because I say that this is wrong. Like, for example, particularly, I didn't even name the book that I'm talking about. I think it is one of those books that for some reason, in some cases, it's not translated. You can still find it as sad tropicals, but also you can find it as les tristes tropics or something like that. I think it is, and it's good to see that, yeah, theories are possessed or are contained within that book, but can I actually say that all those theories are instantaneously understandable to anyone, even if he does a fantastic work at explaining them? Sadly, some of them are so against what was the norm of its time that, for example, people who read them during those eras even could say, no, what the fuck are you talking about? You're wrong. You're telling me something fake. You are speaking nonsense. You are saying completely incorrect stuff and whatnot. And I feel like in that sense, it is that many notions become hard to actually understand because they are not truly impossible to approach or ununderstandable by default, incomprehensible, undecipherable, but rather way too difficult to properly get from the perspective of I don't agree with what is being said. And sadly, particularly in sociology, any slash most of them are like that. So, what can we do about that much? One can only try to say, yeah, keep reading, keep being willing to accept. But no matter how much I actually tell you to read something, no matter how much you are prompted to do so, and even if you feel encouraged to try that, the whole aspect of getting to solve the situation itself of, oh wow, I am reading something that goes so against everything else that I believe, everything else that I accept, like, I don't know, okay, good example, an actually good example. If you're a Christian, you cannot really believe something like what Nietzsche talks about in many cases. You cannot truly agree in some notions. How can you believe, even there is like the more aberrant reading that you can perform, but in a proper line of getting to understand that, socially speaking, the whole notion of God and whatnot has been totally abandoned. You cannot truly agree with that. You still belong to a group that is willing to bring that forward. You can still talk out the whole notions that are related to how this much seems to be important and how this much seems to still need to be spread and whatnot, and that there is also still a possibility for the regained of belief. For you to begin with, there was not even a point in time in which people completely abandoned their faith. Even in the direst of situations, there are many cases, many people that you can look at and point with a finger and correctly state, yeah, this person even then still believed in God. So the propositions themselves created, the notions, and what is the main content in terms of the not just theoretical, but rather what's the theory? I guess something along the lines of what's I don't know. I cannot actually find the proper words. The whole concept of the landscape of not compressed. What comprises the final ideas and whatnot that you're exploring? I love that. And what makes the book be filled with notions and arguments and whatnot, that thing in itself is what you cannot approach, and therefore you're missing quote unquote the soul of the book because you're not getting to actually explore anything. You're just trying to read something while being absolutely willing to talk about the proper contents in terms of, yeah, this seems interesting, this seems useful, this seems at all something that I am going to actually be willing to read, be willing to talk out, be willing to anything, you know? And yeah, I feel like sadly that case, once again, it's sort of a quick way out, not that simply because I state so you are going to never have the desire to read him, but yeah. Good authors of this, quote unquote, personally, from my viewpoint, good authors like that are interesting enough to try to give them themselves a try, but yeah, I don't know. Then I still absolutely hate them, probably. And sometimes I don't really. There are, I guess, because it is so back in time, like, that book was written in like the 1800s or so, like incredibly old in many ways. There are still way too many things that you cannot say are acceptable at all, like nowadays from our viewpoint, particular terms and such, the whole eternal discussion and then encounter of, oh wow, are you truly utilizing those particular words? Are you truly talking about these people in this way with this title? Are you truly doing that? Wow. Besides those aspects, the more fundamental notions themselves, I don't think are all that unapproachable. There are, I haven't really encountered, I haven't finished it, but there are not as many absolutely wrong statements, I feel like. And yeah, anyway, point being, it's good to read stuff like that. And it's, once again, still, I wouldn't say absolutely depressing. It's just sad to know that, yeah, so many good works will pass, will never even pass, to some degree, will never even pass, will not at all exist in one's consciousness, in one's own desire to read them and whatnot, even if they are something that could entirely alter your life. Like, I don't know, perhaps in that sense you cannot still utilize the very same example that I used before of, even if does stuff like the Bible falls under that category. People can say sometimes that it is so meaningful to read it and that it is so useless to not give it a try. And even if you know that reading it is great and you are a complete atheist, just to have the willfulness to try to give it a try in itself, that's good enough. But people for some reason say, nah, yeah, you know what? You don't have to do that. You don't have to be willing to read anything of that sort and whatnot. That's when perhaps, yeah, you can say, yeah, maybe this is bad. But who knows? It's just that, yeah, works, literature, what was the thing that I guess I am not so much agreeing with right now? I used to say it at some point even myself and say, yeah, this is so true. you read only what you feel like. Sometimes, more so from the whole perspective of what I have just said, sometimes you have to actually read stuff that you cannot sit right with. It's useful to have the capacity to continue struggling against notions that you don't feel entirely acceptable, because it doesn't matter how acceptable or not you feel them, it matters what you can actually extract from the notion itself. And how can you actually utilize that in your own existence, so to speak? Even if the theory is bad, there is still some analysis that you yourself can perform from what the analysis itself of the theorist proposition tries to extract out of all of those things, which lets you arrive at better conclusions overall, just with the added benefit slash issue of, you have to try yourself, but it isn't almost ever imperial, which is the surprising aspect. So many desires to say, oh no, yeah, you cannot ever grab a book and understand the things and be capable of formulating anything yourself. I don't know, man. You can follow what is being expressed, then in many cases, it's an incredibly harming notion to believe that you yourself cannot say anything out of what you have just read. There are many blank spaces created from what the notions that any author describes. There are, no matter how appreciated they end up being, so many theories are still incapable of explaining all that there is to them to create completely concise system, or what is it, self-contained systems, basically. And those, okay, there is also sadly a clarification to make instead of that. Sadly, there are a handful of those that do exist, but at the same time, the sad aspect is people don't really care about those. Like, I don't know, you're not really gonna utilize the hermetic notions contained within something like, I don't know. I'm trying to not think about something as well. Probably, okay. Not so controversial. Something like, what? I feel like doing this, but we wasted so much time already before. No. You're not going to do it. I feel like doing it, but do it. I'm not going to do it. Because it's not necessary. You see, the tower is gone now, so there is no possibility for me to fall prey to my desire to do that tiny tower run. Anyway, I was saying. But yeah. Stuff like, for example, Schopenhauer's mode of thinking about the world, you can read it, the world as will and representation and whatnot, not really something that gets that talk out outside of his book itself, and there are many influences, but many people still decide to, because it is so self-contained, not utilize it outside of that, because the postulates which are created are out of the very same notions that he describes end up being incredibly negative. There are only a very handful of things good. Everything else is bad. And that's the reason why people do not want to talk about him in most cases. Also, welcome, Crispin. Thank you for the look. So simply because of that, people understand that I should rather not approach these self-contained notions. But my real point was that sadly, in most cases, it happens that they get painted with those notions of, they are so self-contained, nobody can approach them and whatnot. They are well explained enough. You might, I don't know, as always, you could benefit from having read some previous things, but that's the eternal case with every single little thing. Like, Perhaps if I did some extra work before, I could have understood every single thing that I explored in my own life. Perhaps. Who actually knows? I do not have the necessity to think out that aspect myself. It's useful to have the awareness that it could exist, but to which degree that is actually useful, because in the end, all the texts which I explore myself are influenced by other things. Oh yeah, if I was born from the very first day from which existence was created, perhaps I will have now a better time understanding all the other subsequent texts that follow that one, because after all, we all seem to follow some common rules to language and whatnot. So, oh wow, so useful to take into consideration all these aspects? No, not really. So, it doesn't make it valuable, it doesn't make it all that useful in that sense. It's good to know that, yeah, you could, I don't know, particularly because it pertains to both. The example that I was talking about, Levi Strauss, pertains not only to sociology but also to, I was going to say archaeology. I'm amazing. At that point, I think they called it like ethnology or something like that, but not particularly that one. The other one, the anthropology, yeah. And all of those fields. You can approach those books before approaching the real postulate and whatnot. And yeah, you will not really be doing something bad. From within the event horizon here. Also, no, wait. Actually, before I continue, let me take a break. Let me take another quick break. Yeah, let me take my second. Why count them? What the fuck are you doing? Don't count them, weirdo. Sorry. Also, I like how there is no wiki whatsoever, because how can I know if this thing is good or not? You can't. We can't. But anyways, yeah. Let me take a second. Welcome, Sissy. I hope you're very well. Sadly, I just realized I will have to take a tiny break. Excuse me. I hope you're very well. I hope you're having a very good night. Welcome. I hope you can enjoy your stay. And yeah, I don't know. Let me go. After that, I will be back. And after that, life will continue with normality or something along those lines. Yeah. You're fine? I am very well myself. I am incredibly happy. What happened with the game? Why does it look like that? What happened? Why did it look like that? What? But yeah, let me take a tiny second to think. Not exactly. Yeah. Be right back. Also, the game is so low in volume. Let me put it like there. Okay. After I'm back, I guess I will lower it. Also, why is the volume so low? I am not speaking enough with enough intensity. It's possible. Can happen. I am amazing. Anyway, give me a second. Yes, stream was actually starting soon because I left for half a second. No, not as much. Welcome. Say, hope you're good. I didn't see if you streamed, but perhaps I missed it. I am. It's over. Can't happen. Also, I realized something. I should not have this thing on full screen. Why do I have it on full screen? Window full screen. There we. What the fuck? It looks so pixelated. That's why. That's why I didn't have it on full screen. It's good enough. It's to some degree it's good enough, I guess. But anyways, we're back. Are we back? Did the game capture change? Didn't like these strange borders, right? I'm not going crazy. I believe. But anyways, yeah. Welcome. I don't know. What has I? What have I? What has I? No. What have I been talking about? Not much, really. I'm a person who has nothing to say most of the time. I prefer to keep myself in silence. I look at the world entire and express nothing because the expression itself is dangerous. Exactly. Nothing to say. Nothing ever happens. Picture. No. My. What was it? I actually did see like such a good meme. Today, I saw it yesterday, but today I got to see it again. The algorithm blessed me with seeing it again. The whole meme of somebody who borrowed a book from a public library, and it had inside of it the whole scripture of. Unavoidably, the book said nothing ever happens. And inside of it, there was like the meme of nothing ever happens, quoting that same part of the book entirely verbatim the poor book. Have you seen much content by Zizek? Yeah. A modern philosopher which just seems insane and on coke. What the fuck are you talking about? He doesn't seem on coke. The only issue, I guess, he possesses what most ESL people has, and that is the incapacity to utilize the more concise language. So that's why he needs to go on like way too many times. For that reason. Well, yeah, I mean, that one I cannot really defend that much. No, yeah, that always seems strange, or that he always feels like he's, what is it? Sick? More like, when it's not exactly sick. When you have like, neither the flu, an allergic reaction or something like that, because he always seems to be like, for some reason. Yes, no, yeah, that's what I was trying to go at. The mania behind his speeches, because my point is, as an ESL, you don't really have the capacity to express things so properly, so you need to suddenly construct sentences in way longer with far more scaffolding, quote unquote, to make them understandable. And that makes what he was trying to talk about incredibly hard. You don't think we sound like maniacs? I don't know. I am pretty sure I hear people like me, and when I see that they take way too long, the whole aspect of you know how to say things well enough, so you know how to make sure that while talking fast, you keep on expressing the correct stuff, basically. So you end up going so long to express a simple idea, or what could be expressed as a simple idea, in so much. Do you know? No, I don't know. You are ESL, and I don't really believe it. I am pretty sure you literally live on America. I don't know, my man. I don't know if you're a ESL. Something tells me that you're not ESL, but perhaps that's true. And I am just. I was. Oh. Excuse me for choosing incorrectly. You're not kidding? I don't know, man. Maybe you are. But no, yeah. I don't really believe it. I sadly don't really believe it. Sounds You talk like one of those people who knows how to pronounce English properly. Nah. You have, I don't know, I have actually met a handful of people who should probably be ESL, but knows well enough how to avoid all of that, so. It's good to actually see people like that, instead of having to struggle with the proper pronunciation of the language and whatnot. But no, surprising, I understand. I wasn't actually expecting that, I don't know. I don't really believe it. In my mind, you still live in America. Yeah. But if you say so, man, I will have to change my narrative and now picture say that as a tiny little guy who learned how to speak English when he was very little to something for the sake of something. And since then, he has been always proud of knowing how to speak English. Bianish, do you know English? I am referencing a meme that nobody watched. So well for the trap of referencing stuff. Excuse me. Anyway, but no. Yes, my point was, I know him and I know his philosophical theory to some degree, not exactly. I never tried to actually read him. I have heard enough about his statements so that I get to understand to some superficially what he talks about. Yeah, I like him. Yeah, I like what I got to understand so far. In a way, it's the latest kind of post-Marxist ideology and whatnot. It's good to be capable of understanding it, I guess, for the whole notion. I don't know. It's as if you told me, yeah, have you read Will Jong Han? Well, that one is a little bit easier to actually read. But yeah, it's an understandable thinker and philosophically speaking, not so complicated to actually catch on what they are trying to go towards, the notions that they are trying to institute and develop and whatnot. So those are far simpler to actually approach, yes. But I don't know. It's good, I guess. I am not saying that he is entirely of art because yeah, I haven't read him. And I don't know. Should you read him? I don't know. Yes, I guess if you feel like doing so. I'm saying I haven't even tried to do so. No opinion. Lost manual. Yeah, I can get out of here. One less quest. Here. Okay. Next is base. I think I need to go to base. I think. No, there is no quest here. Okay, we are finished with Inferno difficulty, I think. No. Nightmare difficulty. Yeah. So that's that for this difficulty now. Create difficulty hell. There we go. Okay, what does this guy have to say? Slash monsters. So hell 1 difficulty cleared. What? Archdemons plateau cleared. What? Ye dungeon cleared. What? Is the map changed or something? Ethering hell. Ethering archdemon. Ethering key dungeon. I think the game actually began now. Like, something tells me that the real game just started. Because I have heard so many people talk about this part of the game, but not about any other aspect of it that who knows actually what. Okay, we are on Hell 1. God knows how difficult it's gonna be. Also, do I get one shot? Yeah, not entirely, but probably I will. So, good enough. Difficult enough, I guess. Then continue, yeah. I don't know, what was I saying before I left that? Something about, yeah. I haven't for the last hour or so going on an entire rant about this other author, Levi Strauss. He's very my final conclusions, to quickly sum it up, because it's actually possible to do that. It's a very interesting author. It is someone who actually wrote so well. Oh, how am I going to strengthen the world? So far, I feel like I have found a way. Let me... Here, incarnation. Here. So far, there is an entire tree that is literally multiplicative with all the stuff that I utilize already. With the current world, so I don't really need to change anything. So the only issue is getting levels fast enough to make sure that I can actually keep up. Otherwise, besides that, I need to farm for drops, because the market does not have what I'm looking for. So that, or there is also a tier secret option called crafting, some mythic items. But I feel so actually, no, not that. It's so boring to actually craft stuff, at least for me. I will probably, if I do that, I do it tomorrow or the day after tomorrow off camera, probably. If I guess also implying that the wool doesn't work anymore, so that I actually need to build something like that or stuff along those lines also. Because right now it's working well enough. I don't really struggle that much against anything really. This is where it stalls? What are you talking about? I mean, like, no, sorry. In general, you say that it is where people tend to stall. Yeah, I have seen that. In the general chat I have read enough times that it seems to be always the case that people struggle to actually make it work here. Like, you can have a much easier time before, but here you're actually tested for it. And I don't know, I think that it's going to work. We have to actually encounter a real boss and whatnot, and at that point I will actually get to also test in reality if it does work, if it does not work, and whatnot. But I have faith. What are we if not machines of faith who need to rely on those beliefs to keep going strong and to be capable of moving forward despite all the difficulties that we encounter in this current day? So, with faith alone I shall move the mountain. And if that does not happen, I shall make it so that it stops being an issue, at least for me. Also, Gamba. Oh my god! No, I should probably not gamble. It costs so much fucking money. 10,000, nothing. Goodbye, I'm not spending anymore. I'm not spending anymore. I'm not gonna do it. Yeah. But yeah. Anyways, I was saying. Can you really only move a mountain in one piece at a time? I mean, yeah, probably. No. Unavoidably, saying it in a proper way, unavoidably you can also utilize like more devious methods, like probably exploding the entire mountain and moving it away, unless you want a targeted move, or I don't know, technology is quite surprising nowadays. Probably, I'm pretty sure there has to be a way to move, to mobilize entire pieces of land at once by simply pressing a button or stuff. Not exactly pressing a button, simply making sure that you can carry the mountain. Yeah, that's the word that I was looking for. Nothing interesting, bruh. Okay. Nothing actually interesting. Good enough. The problem becomes I need to read a very simple escape zone. Who could have expected that to be bad? So what's this? Intelligence. What? But no, yeah. That's my answer. I hope so. In terms of the answer being quote unquote correct. You look like you have some real guts. What? What the fuck did I just do? Excuse me? Wait. Yes? Ah, and I need to go in there and it increases the stuff. How do I even get a smelly cheese? What? That's some difficulty. Why would I want a 5% more room drop rates? That's all that matters, huh? Or that's the only benefit? Bruh. Anyway. Yeah, I was saying. The whole quick summary of what I have been talking for so long. Probably is, yeah, Levi-Strauss is a good author. You probably give him a try if you have never thought about doing so. Or if you have heard about him, he's actually good. I am surprised at that. I know way too many people get called good writers and good authors and whatnot, and they end up being absolutely horrible to actually read. So yeah, this one is to some extent good. And yeah, that's, I know, most of the notion. That's the quickest summary, actually. He's good enough, he deserves to be read if you have enough patience, and yeah. About other things, the whole aspect of, and sometimes things are hard to understand if you don't really vibe with what you're listening. Simply put, that's sadly most of the times the reality. I I don't really think that it should be the case. It should be okay, yeah. Finishing the summary there. I don't really think that it should be the case. It's sadly not really that necessary. One of the many ways in which we have somehow learned to dissociate the opinions of the person from what actually seems to be interesting in the notions that we are discussing, being so present in current days makes it so that any proper discovery of useful notions and whatnot ends up being impeded simply because in itself, truly, the person never finds any interesting point to actually try to pay attention to as long as they can actually disqualify the whole subject. Like, I don't know, I don't really know how much of a sensual thing it is. I feel like it shouldn't be that bad to say, but somehow I have seen people feel like you're personally attacking them if you say that you still read some of the older classics. Or, okay, easy. This one is actually an easy example. People who have entirely discarded somebody like Nietzsche simply because not even what he did, what his sister ended up doing with his work related to the later on usage of him for the Nazi ideology and whatnot. It wasn't his doing even. He wasn't even alive and whatnot. But, oh no, yeah. He aligns with this theory. He doesn't, but who is going to actually take the time to read what he's talking about? Who is going even to explore what he says? Nobody here. So we shall as well assume that he is wrong and make sure, therefore, that nobody has the necessity to do so. And that's how we ensure that we remain the victorious ones in this eternal battle of opinions, even if there might be useful things to encounter in what he describes. No need to think about that. Why would anyone at all have any desire to picture this controversial figure as useful? So yeah, it's bad in that sense. I don't think, is it that surprising? I don't think so. Points left? I have, yeah, game points, what? Eternal Battlefield? What do I actually want? Dropping a key? Curse Spirit? What? Monster within the dungeon have an increased chance to, what? Lucky hit. To do a lucky hit rolling till failure. Who wrote this thing? What does this thing even mean? Like, am I ESL? Does it not make any sense for me? Only? Holy shit. What am I looking for? Shadowrun? Primeval? Overworld? No. Dungeon? No. Looking for? No. Chaos Tower? No. Chaos Pillar? No. Mining? No. Ruby? No. Then it is Unholy Siege, I guess. What's up with you? Wait, what? Why cannot apply my points? I have to leave, right? Something tells me that I have to leave. No. Okay, it's wrong. Thank you so much. How do I do this, brother? You have to start from a specific point. What are you talking about? I'm getting it. Here, no. What do I have to click? Have to talk to you? No. What do I have to do? What do I do? What do I do? How do I... You, no. You. Yes? Key of terror. Yeah. No, I don't have a key of terror. Soin coffee club. Whatever the coffee club is. Why can't I modify my map? My ether? What's so wrong with this thing? Okay. I don't know. I feel like a little kid lost. Bounty ward. The fuck is this? Looking for the righteous adventurer. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Who? Tell to... Who? To you. Brother, do you wanna tell me the... No need to tell me. Thank you so much. Anyway, whatever. I was saying, yeah. What a beautiful game sometimes. The lithium vine, wow. Amazing. Also, can't I decrease somehow the cost of the ores? Because I literally cannot do that. No. Drop? What? Drop any tarot? Oh my god! That is amazing, no? Aren't tarot cards like incredibly expensive? Wow! That's broken. Anyway, I was saying, that yeah, I know. But like, in many cases the issue is authors not being underappreciated or completely discarded because of their alignments with other things, and that's in many other spaces I guess it does make a lot more sense, but specifically in philosophy I think it is incredibly sad that it can happen so much with so much frequency. That's the proper way to think about it. It shouldn't be so normal that yeah, this person said once a bad thing, now everything else that we talked about ends up being misused. There is a proper term of proper categories, we shall not utilize them at all. But the point still remains that yeah, it's... Anyways, it is still possible to encounter, explore, and discuss proper authors within those categories and whatnot. It's not like it is absolutely forbidden from people, the discussion and conversation of all of those different authors. It's just that indeed, yes, it's that many authors have also fallen victim to such situations. And I don't know, yes, even so, there are still enough. One of the handful of bad, quote-unquote bad, for the sake of the argument itself, one of the bad things that happens, or that happen, is in reality because I am not the only one person who has read this work. Someone else can also come and try to repopularize what's the notion itself contained within the logical, philosophical, social, whichever, quote-unquote scientific system, so that other people get to discover what this person was talking about, even if they themselves have fallen completely victim to this very same part of the world which says, nah, yeah, you know what, it doesn't matter what you're trying to express and what you're trying to do yourself. Simply because you cannot actually follow and fall in line with the rest, you are going to be discarded. So it's, I feel like unavoidably great enough to have the reality of still encountering people with such high qualities and whatnot themselves still around. Otherwise it will be, yeah, quite sad to see that many of the notions of this very same kind will end up still so abandoned. And it is bad, as always, unavoidably, because I don't think it really needs that much explanation. It's bad that you tried to get rid of this thing and unavoidably someone else made sure came invaded what you were trying to do with your own efforts and whatnot and made sure that it didn't actually work. Like, what's a good example? I said, for example, before, Schopenhauer isn't really that much appreciated, but you still have a lot of Schopenhauer when you're talking about somebody like Nietzsche. Even if he himself wasn't exactly Schopenhauer, and even he himself wasn't exactly absolutely capable of following all the notions that Schopenhauer did, there is still a lot of one contained within the author, so that you can gain notions and gain lessons and gain much information from that. The only issue always is, am I willing to truly explore that? And yeah, I feel like it is still right. And in many cases, it's doesn't happen that one truly feels like exploring only that, but once that can finally occur, once the person also wait a second. I have a blank potion, like a what tier potion? Normal potion for so long. What the fuck happened? Yes, there we go. But yeah, point is, I don't know. Suddenly, there are going to still be, I guess, authors which are going to be totally underappreciated and abandoned with the passage of time, but I am not really the person to be saying this. I am still way too fucking young to have the right to say it, but if history has taught me any lesson, it seems to be true that in most cases there are revivals of ideas and thinkers much later in time, thanks to what people get to appreciate from them later on, and what maybe generations later down the line, some random abstract thinker gets to reevaluate about their lessons and about their notions and whatnot, and that makes the whole aspect of still falling victim to nothingness be not so dramatic, even if in itself, I don't really know. I don't think that somebody like Van Gogh deserved to die without ever knowing that he created something so valuable that so many people is still thankful for his work, even nowadays, indeed. But at the very least, there is the consolation, quote unquote, of knowing that at some point it can still happen that people get to realize what was the meaning behind things and whatnot. So, okay, no, nothing. At least, I guess that's part of the whole notion of philosophy, being acceptant of the reality that, yeah, it doesn't really matter sometimes. That should be with anything, no? But particularly more so with the whole notion of the whole philosophical endeavors and whatnot, and the aspect of getting to appreciate that you yourself will one day die. The learning to deal with the reality that, yeah, this doesn't really have that much of an impact in the end if you get to go to the afterlife or not, if you get to become that famous or not during your life. What matters is that what you said had any impact and made an impact itself big enough on other people so that it can also be utilized by others for others, and it can continue something, it can work in something, it can serve something. When that doesn't happen, when that doesn't get to exist, that's sad, and that's absolutely negative, and sadly it is too common to see that occur, even when it totally shouldn't be the case. But it's great enough, and it is significant enough to at least have the possibility of perceiving all of those aspects, and getting to, I don't know, accept life as I continue or I create something. No, yeah, sometimes also you continue. No, we already continue a legacy of a school of ideas that has already existed for so long, to make sure that others can also continue it later on, and that whole eternal continuation of systems and eternal way of making sure that something is being in the works and keeps on being worked on. The contribution being a grain of sand in the whole pile of mountains and mountains of the desert, of huge giant, mountains themselves, which don't get to be as meaningful unless you're actually willing to make that tiny sacrifice sometimes. But that's literally with everything, so doesn't really land only in here. Isn't this good? I'm not the person to say it. I have no clue. I will have to check later on, yes. But yeah, that's my conclusion in that sense. Or that's my analysis. I don't really think it is so much of a conclusion. What can you actually conclude from all of that? You know, the ability of making sure that your efforts leads to something, but in itself, how can you even make sure that that happens at all? So many people will have to always live with the whole, I have no way of ever knowing if that is the case or not, and I will truly never have the possibility of at all approaching that reality. I can only make sure that I create something, but maybe tomorrow, the whole eternal basic aspect of perhaps tomorrow, the world ends. We are still in a time in which it can very well happen that actually everything that we used to know right now is extinguished from the rest of the existence simply because it has come to happen in that manner and nothing else could truly be modified for the sake of avoiding this conclusion, no matter how much we wish for something else or ourselves and whatnot. So, what was the conclusion? Something about living life to the utmost and trying, in from a philosophical aspect, the eternal contempt with understanding that mortality is something so eternally present and whatnot, which truly in the end doesn't really mean much in most cases because the person cannot truly admit such thing in that proper way. In most cases, it remains as, yeah, I will die someday, but that's it. No matter how many philosophical schools exist out there, most of them don't really desire to arrive at the conclusion that, yeah, it's fine to die. There is still a lot of clinging to life itself, and it's to some degree, I guess it's fine, yeah. The issue always with trying to pursue a proper approach to that is the twisting of the notion itself of being alive and the complete disposal of the necessity for it at some point, which can caricaturize so much many people, let's say. And not many people, many thoughts in a way in which it ends up making the whole aspect of existence far less sustainable for one who actually wishes to remain, yes. But such is being. And it can happen in many cases, so nothing to really get angry about. Just to wonder. Besides that, I don't know. I have been trying my very best, my very hardest to avoid talking about young. At some point, I wanna do it, but today, I don't really feel like doing that, man. It's understandable enough. It's not that I don't understand him. I don't know. At this point I have come to hate so much the whole notion of, oh no, yeah, this author is so impossible to understand. Have we really tried to understand them, brother? Have we really gone out of our own way to make sure that we have read them? I have had such a hard time sometimes following my teachers, following the people who are supposedly capable of telling me how I should be trying to deal with the whole issue that I am being presented with and whatnot. But the authors themselves, I don't really find so much of a problem. I don't really encounter so many impossible things, so many unsolvable problems, so many completely irrational aspects. And okay, does that mean that you never in your entire life found anything like that? No. There are still cases in which I did. Okay, and you know what happened? I still have the capacity to power through and to find a proper explanation out there lying, waiting for somebody to actually be willing to say, okay, are you going to utilize me? Are you going to be willing to have enough patience to read me? Yes. Then it all shall make sense. What a wonder! But otherwise it doesn't occur, or for some reason it's desperate to see that. But yeah, things are so ununderstandable as always. Not really. Not really. They are far more decipherable. Once I actually try once, or as long as I don't try, things remain much more simpler. But the moment in which I get to try, I do encounter that reality differs quite a lot. What I am being told in many cases. Way too many cases. Also, why am I even doing this dungeon? Like, something about making sure that I kill enemies, I guess. At the very least, I have the possibility of killing enough stuff so that I can level up and whatnot. And also, now that I can finally come back to what was said, like, I finally understand something. To some degree, it's true that this difficulty or this set, oh yeah, this difficulty is far more of a, what is it, of an impenetrable wall for people, but to some other, haven't the changes implemented made it so much more possible to navigate all of this? I don't really think that it is like before, where people truly were struggling so much to be capable of winning. I think that now it can actually be one far more what the fuck? Far more easily. Also, the eternal point that I make, the change in the formula of damage has made it so that most classes can now be entirely broken simply by accumulating multiplicatives or multiplicators, I guess, yeah. Multipliers, that's the proper word, sorry. I'm still way too young. One day I shall not be. But yeah, anyway. I don't really know. I guess I am in a way still actually wondering what's the proper approach to all of this to try to make sure that I can clean rapidly enough. I don't feel like I cannot, but the whole aspect of, oh no, yeah, you shouldn't be following this pattern or this speed and whatnot. If you're not going this fast, then you're doing it wrong. I know, I feel like as long as I don't die, I'm good, actually. But we will see. At some point, the wall will make itself apparent, and at that point, I will have to say goodbye. But for now, we are good. But still, what a beauty. Why? No, I still cannot get over how the market is so impossibly filled with stuff that I cannot at all utilize. That I have no usage for. I guess I chose to build the worst type of build because nobody's selling anything for it. Can't happen. Critical strike chance. Amazing. Garant channel. No. So, if this game has proper crafting, it probably is worth looking into it, but something tells me that the crafting requires, like, for you to have, let's say, 1,000,000 or so of gold, and I still don't know how to actually farm gold. I know people do it somehow, but I have yet to reach a proper conclusion for all of that myself. But anyway, that problem is gonna be there for the very distant future, me not right now. Right now we're good enough that it doesn't truly constitute that much of a problem. But well, stopped dying also, so that's good. But well, going Inferno, that's the only question that I am wondering about. How much more time is that going to take? Probably this character, I hope this game has like a blade command, like Path of Exile does. But if not, I have to assume that I have sunk. Let me see, can I actually check that? I can, but alt tabbing is so. It has to be like 30 hours or so far at this point that I have used on this character alone, so it better be a good enough character to actually reach the very end. Otherwise it's gonna be the very end. Also, I didn't use my point. I gained a level and I didn't use it. I'm amazing. So, give me a second. I don't want to die. That's my only issue. You see? I am a clever person. I love to cling to my life. So I make sure that I don't die. There we go. 87 damage. Understandable. How many? I am getting actually amazed. How many fucking messages do these bots have? That's crazy, man. These machines are getting way too dangerous. No. Actually, that's great. In reality, it could be so easy. Probably there is no money to gain or anything like that. For some reason, nobody actually tries to instill such bot farms or anything like that on Twitch. Not like it should happen, but certainly that it doesn't happen is surprising enough. Because yes, it's weird to see it not occur. I would have expected to actually isn't ChatGPT so accessible? How come nobody is actually getting a ChatGPT running on their chat? Not as a functionality thing, but rather as yeah, today we shall include, or not as an outspoken thing, as a safe expression. But a fragment. Yes, no, confirm, no, I can't. But yeah, once again, point. Not seeing that CBT actually exists in any form, in any manifested way in reality, being utilized as a, yeah, the real point is as a way to boost oneself and whatnot, because you would have expected it to be so much prevalent. Like, what's the whole thing that you can do with ChatGPT? You can have like 20, as long as your computing power is big enough, you can have like 20 different quote-unquote brains working for you. I guess the only issue always is to also be capable of routing different IPs and all of that, to not have a Twitch API, not count them simply because they all exist within the same area and such, which makes sense, but if you can stick them at the replenish mana, yeah. If you can utilize ChatGPT, you're truly telling me that you cannot also utilize a VPN? I don't know. Like, use it to that level of programming with it actually, in a proper way, and not just saying that you can program and never doing anything more than, I know, getting it to vibe code, snake, or ping pong, or well, pong. But yeah, such is the world, I guess. It's not really that important after all, so technology has somehow been slowly decreasing, and sadly, as I said the other time, yeah, no, not that's a bit actually isn't even that used nowadays, so it matters so little sometimes what you can actually do or not without that. It seems to be slowly decaying more and more and more. I remember actually I watched more than enough information about multiple conglomerates and companies and what is it, investment not players, but like the whole aspect of fans and people from Silicon Valley, multiple people saying, time to abandon the castle. This is not worth it anymore. This is over. This doesn't serve us anymore. We shall give up on it. So I don't really know. I hope it can actually become at some point truly useful, but it seems to just have been yet another good bubble, sadly. What was it? I remember a good video actually, something along the lines of, if not bubble, why bubble shaped? And that sadly is because sometimes things are not really made like that, but people interact with them in that way and make them be like such, like people, investors, putting so many funds and dropping so many millions and billions into something that doesn't really need to be expanded that much less be influenced by the necessity to create profit or gain profit from the existence of this thing in a prolific manner and in a proper, useful, correct manner and whatnot. So that's sadly what the world has come down to. Not exactly like, that's the only thing that matters, but it truly is to think that those lead so many of the efforts currently existing, I guess. But I don't know, I feel like there is still, I don't really know how much of that is true, but there is still a lot to think out in terms of perhaps in the future, perhaps under the proper circumstances, it can actually happen that we can get good enough working machines and such, because somebody understood how to approach this from a perspective of, I can sell the idea well enough without corrupting the final product. There is the whole aspect of, sadly, developers are not really that good themselves at anything that isn't developing, so if you expect them to be capable of saying, yeah, please let us do this job themselves, it's kind of impossible to have that happen without losing a little bit of the essence in the process. Also, can I get it here? No. What a weird map generation. But well. Also, I guess I will have to actually craft the stuff because it does look like a lot of the progress is being quite impeded so far. Destroy. Anything important here or no? No. What? I can get out of here? Why? Who knows? Okay. I feel like probably, if anything, we're gonna finish this chapter, or I don't know how many more levels do I actually have left. I should check, because I do see the progress be much slower, so I should actually try to pay attention to that too. If there are way too many more areas remaining, I should wrap it up and I should actually deal with the problem of clear speed by myself. I mean, I have the buffs, but they don't last infinitely to justify having them, like, not to justify having them, to try to use them to sustain myself in any meaningful way, sadly. So, it's, once again, it's over. We have hit the who knows which number wall of progress yet again. Time to deal with things and continue with progress far more smoothly, if possible. But also, the market is in such a dire situation, I don't really know if I can do that myself. I will see. I will figure out something else. Also, okay, here is the proper test. Most of these always have as much HP as the final boss, so if they take me way too long, that's a clear message. Okay, no. What? Amazing. What the fuck? They die so fast. I expected more of a stride. Wow. Actually, wow. Amazing. Ah, yes, it can happen, then. Good enough. No need to worry about anything then. We can probably deal with the watch. The only issue is also, I don't know, it's breaking my mind to know that the clear speed is so slow, not exactly because of the damage, but rather because of the projectile. But no, you shouldn't compare yourself to others. You should be capable of finding the usefulness in life solely based on the things that you have yourself and nothing else. What exists out there doesn't matter as much because your own possessions are what should be of your concern. If out there the entire world is crumbling down, you should be worrying about all of that. Sometimes yes, sometimes not. Sometimes what matters is to be willing to say that what you have is good enough and to keep on moving forward. Because the rest of the world shall break apart. But as long as you remain, then there is still some hope left. So, doesn't matter the speed, doesn't matter the clear rate, doesn't, well, one shot, doesn't matter anything of that sort. What matters is making sure that this is fine enough to do it solo. Which so far is minimally, but at least I did my job well enough to actually have a completely squishy ult. Because that guy came, hit me, and instantly killed me. Let me see. Do I have anything with life that I shouldn't have? This thing I should get rid of. Life. I have this thing with extra ult still. I'm amazing. Vitality, mana, energy, dexterity, mana, vitality, attack rating. Nothing substantial. Why do we have these things here? What happened? Why are you not in the right place, Drew? I have no pristine thing, right? So many drops and literally no pristine gems somehow. Amazing. Also, enhanced defense is the same as increased. I have 12, I have 7 here. 13, this is great. This is attack rating actually. I have 1 strength. That's good, but not that good. Well, anyway, I guess not really much to try to change then. Also, there is another pathway there. Sushi, what the fuck? How do I get here? Here. What do you have to say? Yes, what? Can't I even have 1 smoke rake in peace? No, man. What? Amazing. NPC interactions? They thought about that even? Wow. Okay. We are close enough to those to try to get rid of it. Also, that was so close. Thank God I didn't die. I needed some form of armor penetration. I had like 1 item that allowed me to do that. And now I have no item to do that, so that will probably be very great. But to get that is so hard. Aaron's stuff. Healing touch. Wow. Heals you yourself on cast. Healing 38 points of HP. Wow. So much. Thank you so much for it. Me not taking even longer. I guess I chose to full clear something that didn't need to be full cleared. Also, how do I assign points full screen? Not like this. Okay, only God knows why. And what is it based on to gain extra points also? Full clears of maps? I cannot. It's schizophrenic to tell me to do full clears of maps that are like entire kilometers wide in game terms. Oh my god. The bane of my existence. Exploding enemies. Such a wonderful combination. Okay. Here comes the... Oh, no. Here comes the boss. No? I think not, right? Is this it? I hope so. Also, who knows how much HP I lost? HP, XP. In that battle there. We don't think about that. We don't count our losses, we count our wins, because the human loses way too many things in life to ever be aware out of them, so it's better to not have that present at all. So, we are kinda ready. Now the real challenge begins. Oh my god, it's so fucking tanky. Amazing. It actually did take some effort. Unbelievable. Oh my god! I did not misclick. That was intentional for the extra dramatic purpose or something like that. What the fuck hit me? Something hit me. No. Ah, okay, the laser doesn't kill me. Good enough. No, 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 no! The first time ever that I actually died to a boss, so I cannot really complain in that sense. The first time ever that I actually see all the abilities of that guy too, so... Understandable. Understandable. What the fuck? I'm already here? What? Didn't expect that. Okay. Yeah. I am probably screwed up because I used my buffs before entering it. Doesn't matter. Does it matter? Nah, we're gonna act like it doesn't. Such a grateful, necessary hit. I like because for some reason there are some like ultra hits that I get. And I have no clue why. No, 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 no. The problem, besides my lack of damage, is also the damn garbage at the dodging, so cannot really get angry. It's like if they paid me for not dodging at all. Okay, I lost the entire progress towards level 3. So great. Thank you so much, video game. No, it's so I am still the problem. I am still the problem. I try so hard to not say it. If I tell that to myself, then I'm not going to be the problem. How can you move in cross? You are crazy if you think I can pay attention to all this movement. No, man. This is illegal. Okay, there we go. Amazing. Good enough. Thank God. Get me out of here. Oh, no, I have to solve this garbage. This cannot be. this hard anymore. I am going to have a stroke if all bosses take me this long. I feel like I am playing Path of Exile again. This shouldn't be this difficult. My god. Wow. Actually, wow. Surprising. But well, no, yeah, that's it, guys. It's over. We have hit the first. What the fuck is this? Come later, and I'll show you my latest invention. Okay. And you? Can you ever? Ah, here finally. Luthor thrown out of cathedral. What? Excuse me? Who has made it his mission to turn the good people of these lands to worship him on his malicious cult ascended when the last confronted me, the cathedral. He was hiding to the... He was... Eh? He went into hiding to cathedral. He was to be found. And an accident were to happen. An accident were to happen to him. I hear the cathedral's windows are not in a very good shape. Accidents happen. So, where the fuck is the cathedral? I guess not here, probably, so I have like 1 day to finish this mission. I don't even have enough time to finish it. Yeah, I read 18 hours, so I will have to do it myself, I guess. If it is that I actually do it, probably not. Those are like 4 entire acts or 5, so yeah, impossible. Anyway, enough for me, enough, good enough. I see where I have to actually upgrade, so that's gonna be an experience. Getting to upgrade stuff yet again, fuck. But well enough. Was good enough, yeah. Was difficult enough also, wow. What a video, but yeah, liked it, I guess, yes. But well, anyways, it has been good enough, so we will see each other next time. What day it is? Today is Tuesday, or we start on Tuesday. So yeah, tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, we have streams. And I don't know, it was so sad that I actually did miss the last one. I didn't really mean to do that. But I tend to not really be capable of understanding that I shouldn't be pushing myself so much sometimes, and yeah, sometimes it's easier for me to think when I am tired. So if I have to study, I should not do it. It's not that I am justifying it, I should not do it anyways, but I prefer going and exercising after that, or before that, to make sure that I pay attention in class. The whole aspect of, what is it? Having ADHD and having the reality that, yeah, physically speaking, one tends to need a little bit more than the rest makes it unbearable in some way. So, yeah, anyway, point being, I am not really going to have anything to tire myself with tomorrow, so that's going to happen, and we will see out Saturday. But yeah, Sunday is rest, so yeah. That's the only thing, I guess, to add to that. So yeah, anyway, as always, thanks for everything, for the time, the patience, the interest, the appreciation, all the stuff, as always. It was good enough, so yeah, remember to take care, remember to stay well rested, be responsible, hydrate, all of those things. As always, thanks for it all, and yeah, we will be seeing each other next time. And even if there is no next time, it was still great. I am grateful for everything. And yeah, remember to take care. Go rest. Go do your stuff, basically, still. And yeah, goodbye.